Hello everybody, it's the weekend and I have got up, got dressed as if I'm going out today, but I'm not. But the reason for that was I just wanted to put a couple of videos together for you guys because there's been a lot of questions asked over the last couple of weeks because of the new government guidance and legislation that has been issued surrounding the whole COVID-19 pandemic. So one of those questions that I want to cover off now is about furloughed workers. So just to give you a wee bit of a background on this, the government introduced this scheme a couple of weeks back, and it's really to help those businesses who have staff on the payroll who can't afford to pay them because they've either been closed by the government or their revenue is down significantly and they just can't hold out to that. So what that means is if you have a payroll scheme up and running, it has to have been up and running before the end of February. And if that's up and running, and if you have employees on that PAYE scheme, you can furlough them. Now, what does furlough mean? It means that you can get some relief for the government and they don't have to do any work. In fact, they're not allowed to do any work for you. So what happens is they get 80% of their salary. That will be reimbursed by HMRC down the line, and they have to do absolutely no work for you, whether that's trying to generate revenue in the future or whether it's bringing in sales or whether it's selling products or whatever that might be. So where does that leave company directors? Well, this was a big question that a lot of people had, and the directors of the company, if they're on the payroll, are in exactly the same position. The only consolation is they are allowed to perform statutory duties. Now, statutory duties doesn't cover very much. It really means looking after the administration from a company's house point of view, which really isn't very much work. It's been noted in the legislation that they shouldn't really do any more than that. So that leaves you in a bit of a pickle as to should you furlough yourself as a director and an employee of the company, or should you continue to work? And I would really get you to ask yourself about the future revenue that you might be generating off this. So maybe you're sat at home and you're marketing your business, you're strategizing, you're creating a website that will benefit you in the future. So is the tax relief, or is the relief, that you're going to get, the 80% relief over 3 months, is it more valuable to you than future revenue, potential for future revenue? In some cases, the answer is going to be yes. And in some cases, the answer is going to be no. So we're here to guide you through that if you do need some help. There are certain bits of information in the legislation which I'll post below the video. Things like, what about care workers? What about those who have another job? And there's lots of information on that as well. One of the big issues is if you furlough your employees, let's say you closed your premises on the 15th of March and you furloughed your employees from the very next day. You do need to pay your employees the 80% of their regular wage for the rest of March, for the rest of April. What we have been told is that this online portal will be available sometime around the end of April. And what does that mean? That means that as an employer, you're going to have to put some of the details from your payroll into this online portal, whatever that may look like, in order to get the relief that's due to you. That will be paid directly to a UK bank in the name of your business, and that's how it's going to work. So that does create cash flow issues in the meantime. There's absolutely no doubt. For some of you, that will be covered by the grant that you may have already received, the £10,000 grant, if you get small business rates relief. And for others, I've had messages saying, I haven't received this money yet. If you haven't received it over the next few days, do get in touch with me, because I've been speaking to a couple of people in the political arena who say that should be paid really over the course of the next few days. So if you don't get that, do let me know. One thing to ask is, if you don't pay your rates by DD, you should have applied for that. So again, I'll put the link below this page or below this video, and you can check out just in case you need to apply for that and you haven't done that already. So I hope I've cleared a couple of the issues up around furloughing employees. Another thing is that a lot of people have said to me, oh, I want to furlough my employees from the 1st of March because that's the first eligible date. But they can't be furloughed if they were doing work for you from that date. Really, I don't believe that furloughing employees from the 1st of March is going to apply to very many people, because at that stage it wasn't really affecting business. So it's really from the point in time that they haven't done any work for you at all. And as I say, I'll put the information just below this video so that you can take a look at it. But please do comment below, ask any further questions. I know that a couple of people had wanted me to run through an example, and I can do that, but that's quite difficult as well, because we're just told at the moment, as you'll see in the legislation, that we will use the payroll figures to calculate that. So I'm guessing it's going to be a straightforward calculation in terms of an average of the last number of months in the tax year, and then 80% of that will be reimbursed. Just another note, you as the employer only are required to pay the 80%. You don't have to top up the final 20%, so don't feel the need to do that. I have a couple of clients who are doing that just because they've maybe furloughed a couple of employees, perhaps who were on training contracts or whatever, and they just maybe don't have time to do the training. But you don't have to top up the extra 20% if you don't feel like that's appropriate for you at this minute in time. Another thing is, you can only furlough a member of staff for a minimum of 3 weeks. So for example, if you said I'm going to furlough that employee for 1 week, that's not possible. It has to be a minimum of 3 weeks. So you might furlough someone for 3 weeks, then get some work in that they could do and put them back on the payroll, as it were, for a better, for want of a better word. So yeah, I hope that's been helpful. Do let me know, both Gilbert and I, we're in the group here, if we can answer any further questions on that. But as and when the portal becomes available, if we do your payroll for you, we will of course be guiding you through that. And even if we don't do the payroll for you, we're here if you need any questions answered. So didn't really want to talk much about work today, but I hope that's been helpful, because there have been a lot of people just asking questions and being concerned around these things. So have a great day.